We're going to go through dynamic posture. So we've talked about strong posture, we've talked about posture in general, how it affects with age. But one of the things that we get a lot, especially coming from the sometimes pretentious fitness world, is about what your posture has to do with. And big things like squat and deadlift, this is debated about what we need. And more of what it is, it's a dynamic range, right? There isn't just one perfect posture, just like anything else, but there is a range of things that we want to go from. But you can adapt to pretty much anything. The human body is amazing that it can compensate and adapt to stresses that we put it through. So you've been doing something for a long time and you feel fine, there's no reason to switch it up unless there's a power loss or you're starting to have pain. So if you're starting to have pain, let's start talking about some of the things that you can go through from a biomechanics standpoint that maybe this can help keep you away from low back, hip pain, knee pain, upper back, and even shoulder pain. So we'll get into that a little bit. Simple thing that you need is just a stick. This is just going to be our guide. What we're looking for here is when we go through like a squat or like a deadlift or a hip hinge pattern. In that hip hinge pattern, it gets kind of complicated, but as we go forward, we want to be able to kind of keep the stick or the dowel behind our head, our shoulders, and on our butt. The big issue, right, is it staying perfect. Again, you're not that fragile. Your spine's not going to combust if you bend your spine forward too much. What we want to see is where the momentum is and where your point of fixum is and where your change is happening the most. So if somebody goes to deadlift this way, I'm much more concerned about what's going on with their lower back. But we can start to help change their pattern a little bit by having this as a guide to help come here. This just looks better and it feels better for the most part. Again, there are some freaks of nature who can, deadlift with a completely rounded back, but they've been doing it for a while. The other one is doing a squat. So as we go into that squat pattern, can you squat down comfortably? Are you able to go here, or is your squat coming forward? These things kind of help us tell us where we are in space. Sometimes it's hard to judge where you are. I am at fault, especially when it comes to where I think I'm doing with my body and where it is when I swing my golf club. I think I'm not coming over the top. I could swear I'm not, but then I watch the video and I'm totally over the top. And that's another thing when it kind of leads into about a static versus dynamic posture. Golf, you don't want to have a stiff spine. You want a stiff spine in a moment, but you don't want to be able to keep stiff through here. You want to be able to rotate through. Again, posture matters in that. When you're doing your hip hinge pattern, you want to be a little bit at the hips so you can rotate through the hips rather than just going forward here. And this is where we can start to see some golfers where they have that dynamic posture where they think they're moving from their hips versus moving from their back. And that's what we're just trying to get ahead of. Because a lot of times that can lead to an injury, but it doesn't always necessarily have to. Go ahead, play around, see if you can find your neutral spine and see if you can keep it dynamic and pain-free.